Has anyone made progress? Yeah? And does everyone know what they need to do to get to the next level? In case Ria comes in? Yeah? Cool. Alright, so there should be that structure there. I hope that there is that thing that we can move on as well. I just want to show you some examples. My trials up to late have been in secret. And what I mean by that is I've just been playing around with the planning of my lessons. And when I actually structure my lessons, I've been going myself up the taxonomy. But I'm just about, I was going to do it in September, but I'm sort of in that in-between stage. I think I might do it now. I was going to start introducing the whole phrases and that sort of thing, and the rubrics as well. I might go in now, because that's when it becomes not just great like Bloom's is, but it becomes amazing, because they can then use these and see what it is to go next, and they get, the more they get used to it, the more they can work up. And a lot of the other schools that are linking it with, they're doing it like Key Stage 3 and stuff as well, some even at primary. So I think my students are going to be ready to cope with the 5 new phrases and link on how it goes. So, what I did is, we did in the last lesson something about the aerobic system, which is about long distance runners and jogging and that sort of thing, and how the body can be keep stamina up for a long time. But then I came into the next lesson where we're going to look at the anaerobic system, but I hadn't told them that. So I put this up on the board and said if there's anything different from last lesson. So automatically in my head, I'm trying to see where the kids are at on the rubrics in my own head. Does any kid look at any student look at this and go, I don't know how he's doing this based on what we learned last lesson, so it'll be pre-structural. Some students may go, sure, that's got something to do with the anaerobic system, so maybe that's going to spark a bit of discussion. So now they're at the unistructural. Some students maybe go, oh yeah, this we learned in science, blah, 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 and then they're at the multistructural. So, you know, this is my pitch, my start of my lesson, I was trying to find out what they knew about it. So I started with that. Got a bit of discussion going on, used my learning journey, learning objectives, which are increasing the difficulty. And then I went and tried to fill in the blanks and get every student in that class up to the multi-structural stage. So I had a 5-minute challenge, and I was going to go through these 5 particular areas, and they had to make lots of different notes as we went along, or mind maps, or whatever. And there'll be time at the end for them to collate their notes as well. So I was going to try and get my students in my planning up to multi-structural. So I went through all the different things, about how it all works, different equations, and so on. And then I'd give them time to then, in their groups, with their captains on each team, on each table team, to make sure they got all their notes up together and everyone understood and that sort of thing, and no one had missed anything out and that stuff. And there's resources on the table for them to go through as well. So at this stage, I've done my teaching bit, and they're all up to the multi-structural. So then, obviously, to boost up to the relational level, see how it all works together, that's the old thing. And then, with Lauren, who's working my lessons as well, we started using what's called a solo taxonomy hot map, or a double bubble map. That's higher order thinking skills. This is called a double bubble hot map, where you can have 2 different particular topics. That's how they're different, that's how they're similar, and that's obviously how that one is different as well. Okay, so we're trying to make a connection. So I'm trying to get to relational level now and show where these things overlap. So that was our example one, and then Laura and myself gave out the blank ones. We did it on completely different topics, so we didn't want to give the answers away. And they went away then and started filling out these, which is really, really good. And started trying to tie it all together, the relational stuff. Then, still at the relational stuff, I wanted to see, well actually, how does it all combine? Last week's lesson and this week's lesson. So this is between relational and extended abstract, so I'm now trying to tie in another topic. So this is what we did this week, and that's the stuff we did last week. And obviously Lionel Messi is a footballer who will be jogging and sprinting at different parts of the game, and you have to annotate this and talk about when it overlaps and that sort of stuff, which is really, really good. And then the last bit, I did an example of how to use the hexagons. We did some hexagons, which is where you have to make connections and links with other topics, and every side which touches another hexagon has to have a direct link to that. This is an example from, I showed the students, this isn't what they did, this is something different. And I even get to the stage now I'm colour coordinating them, so one particular topic's on one colour, one on another colour, one on another colour, and I remember Dan Derham in my Year 11 class saying that he actively looks to link the different topics together to show a deeper understanding, and that's where we get to the extended abstract, because they're linking all these different topics together and so on. So I've got the students to do that, which is pretty cool. I'll show you some of their work down here. So that's people like Benji Main. This is Benji Main and Lily Lawrence. Lily Lawrence is, okay. And this is all based. This is the skeletal stuff, hinge joint and that sort of thing, to make it extended abstract. This is the anaerobic stuff that we did this lesson, and the red stuff I think was all the muscular stuff. So they're extending their knowledge because they're bringing in all the other topics I've done in the last couple of weeks, and actually I think for the last month, and use the hexagons board altogether. And Anna Burwell was amazing because she can tell me exactly how the respiratory system got the oxygen into our body, how it then went into our bloodstream through the circulatory system, how it went to our muscles through the muscular system, and then how that made the skeletal system move. And I've never had a student do that in one go, and she got it all technically correct, specific terminology all the way through. Normally students can say what that does, what that does, what that does, but she got to extended abstract because she had linked every single topic we covered in our physiology unit together, which was brilliant. And that's absolutely fantastic. So that's how I've done it in my planning. But like I said, when I start introducing this and saying, for the skeletal system, if you just know different bones of the body, if you know how the bones work together to move, if you can know how the muscular system works with the skeletal system to make that move, then that would make it easier for them and they would see what it is they need to do and push on. And it's quite aspirational. Most students will want to get to the top because they want to get the best grade they can. So that's what we're doing next. Sean.
Okay.
Yes, ready for your bit.
Is there a slide?
There is a slide.
Okay. I'll try and keep, because Tay's thrown loads of stuff.
Yes.
So I'll try and keep mine a little bit straightforward, and hopefully mine's quite simplistic because I think
Position stuff.
I've only sort of dabbled with this a little bit, and so I can't say I'm anywhere near advanced as Dave is. And as Dave said, looking at this, it was more from a sort of a planning sort of approach. It was all to do with writing a pop song. Gina will know about this because that's what we're doing with our current year 7. And so it was looking through how do we sort of like get them sort of scaffolded right from the beginning to a sort of, you know, quite a sort of exciting sort of level of deeper learning. And it literally, thinking about sort of where starting this, I know I talked about the planning, but from their point of view, one of the very first lessons was literally about sort of producing a basic mind map about, right, anything that you know about pop songs, just put it down. Because we're sort of this pre-structure. And you'd imagine that people would immediately be, because of pop songs, you know, quite about here, sort of knowing a number of sort of facts and things. But actually, a lot of them were just writing out sort of sets of lyrics or putting down people like Michael Jackson and you know, different sort of artists. Eventually, we've got some youngsters writing sort of facts down about, it's got to have lyrics. It might be that there's a particular structure. Some people even put in things in like key changes and also things to do with singing in a falsetto voice. That gave an opportunity to sort of like talk about sort of how those sorts of things might be linked to pop song writing, but also to this overall concept of we're writing for songs for an Olympic event. Okay, so we started talking about, so in terms of the lyrics, how does that fit? What do you need to think about an Olympic event? So it was about, well, we need to sort of get the spirit of the Olympics through the lyrics. And we watched some videos, Derek Redmond video, about how he struggled through in a race, and we jotted down some keywords about the spirit, determination, resilient, and all those sorts of things. And they started sort of thinking about how those words could fit into a verse or a chorus. Later on, we started sort of looking at the sort of, brought up obviously information about chords, which was in this area here. So we looked at how that linked with the Olympics, and we talked about what's a celebratory event. So probably you're going to be using mainly major chords because that's going to give you an uplifting feel. What would be the point of singing in a falsetto voice? Well, that's going to give lots of energy and passion, so that will probably link to the Olympics there. So all the different sort of ideas that they came up, the actual bit here was about, okay, we've got all those things which are part of pop song writing, but then how does that work with an Olympic event? Okay. And then to get to this final point here, to sum up very, very quickly, it was about sort of the extended bit, which I was talking to Dave about, was okay, so you've got all those sort of elements, and you've written your chord sequence, and you've got your lyrics, which is summing up the spirit. But what about if your Olympic event was in Japan? How would that make your pop song different? What about if your Olympic event was somewhere in India? And then it would be the youngsters obviously thinking about, well, okay, there's probably a particular type of scale that they might use then to sort of create their melody to give it that sort of Japanese sound, or they might start thinking about the different types of instruments that they might bring in that would make it completely different to a sort of more European sort of sounding pop song. Or they might start thinking about the type of harmony that would be different in a sort of a Japanese context to a sort of European or American context. And that's basically the progression that we got from not knowing very much to learning about a few facts to linking those two Olympics and then thinking, well, actually, if you're from a particularly different country, how does that change your song? What would you do differently? And that would really, really extend them at that particular point. Okay.
Good.